Sorry.
Oh,
Water bottle.
I open up Visual Studio. Now again, I'm not expecting you to do this, but I just want you to see, just to understand. I create a new project, but instead of creating a console application, you know how you guys do a console application? I'm going to select web, right? And I'm going to select an ASP.NET Core app with Web API. I'm going to go next. Now I'm not going to put the persistence in there, right? But I am going to just show you with the controllers. Does that make sense? Yeah? So I'll go create. Now again, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do persistence, I'm just going to store them in memory. Does that make sense? Yeah? So what I'll do is I'll create a class and I'll just call it animal. Yep. Animal. Yep. Now animal, I'm going to give it an ID. Yep. Actually, I'll make the ID a GUID. Remember how we use UUID in JavaScript?
Mm-hmm.
Well, C#, it's called a GUID, Globally Unique ID. But it's the same thing. Yeah? Okay? And then, should we just give it a name? Yeah? That'll do. Okay? I know, let's give it, what else did we give it? Public
Age.
string. No, wasn't it species?
Oh, species, that's right.
Species. Right?
Roxy the canine.
Roxy the canine, that's right. So now we've done that. So do you know how, so this is my C# class that corresponds to this structure. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh, it had an age as well, didn't it? Yeah? So we give the animal an age. So, make sense? Yep. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, and I've got this thing called a controller, but I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to call it animals controller. Yeah? Now, I've done this for a reason, and you'll see in a second. Yes, I want to rename it. I'll get rid of this weather forecast example. Okay, so I'll go into my animals controller, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of everything inside it. Yeah? Alright, so now, here we go. Watch this. I'm going to say public. Now what I return here is going to be a list of animals. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. List of type animal. Yep. I'll call it get animals. Yep. Get animals. Alright. And what I'm going to do is up in the constructor, I'm just going to hard code some animals in RAM. Does that make sense? So I'm going to say private list of type animal, yep. And I'll call it animals, yep. If I can type today, animals equals new list of type animal, yep. And what I'll do is I'll create a constructor for this. Oh,
Okay.
it's just gone. There we go, I'll create a constructor. And in the constructor, I'll add 3 animals. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's say animals. Ooh, add new animal. Okay. And the animal will say ID equals. I'll get to the ID in a second. Yeah. All right. For the moment, actually, GUID dot new GUID, I believe is the method. We'll give me a new GUID, and then name equals, we'll come back to that in a second, age equals, let's set them to all be 0, yep. And what else did we have? Species, yeah? Species equals, and we'll get back to that in a second as well, we'll just do it as a string, yeah? Okay, so now we will just finish these off. Okay. Don't worry, it'll be well worth it, we'll appreciate it. Oh geez, I just really specs out. Like they've done, ever since they've added the AI to it, it's been really doing some stupid things. Probably because I've been used to how it used to work. Okay, so GUID new GUID will generate a new GUID, a new unique ID. Does that make sense? That's how you do it in here. Do you know how we call the UUID v4 function in, yeah? GUID new GUID does it in here, okay? Let's make the ages just 1, 2, and 3, yep. Okay, so what do we got here? Roxy, yep. Roxy, Aru, yep. And K9, Felix the feline, was it? Felix the cat? Okay, so now I've just done that, so now I can get the animals. See how I've just got them there, yeah? Right? So watch this, I'm just going to go return animals, yep. Okay? Now, I'm going to make this a HTTP GET. Do you know how we went app get? This is how you do it in there, yep. And then the second thing is the route is the path name, yeah? And in this case, I'm going to just say that it's empty. I'm just going to use the name animals. Does that make sense? It'll pick up the name of the controller, yeah? So let me try this and let's see what happens. So let's go F9. Let me press play. Okay, you get that with the big jobs. Let's just. Oh, I'm running it from my desktop or something, yeah? This is just stupid. Why did they make, where is it? On my desktop, that's why. Right, so I need to just copy it, yeah? And paste it into my folder. Why would they make it so you can't run executables from the desktop? Like, it just, they say it's a security thing, but you can just copy it anywhere else and run it. Like, it's just an annoyance, hey? I really just don't understand. But anyway, here we go. Open it up and let me run it from here. Here we go. Run. Always a pop-up. Okay, so it's starting, and it even starts up and it shows me my endpoints. See, I've created one called get, yeah? And look, I can even test it from here. Look, try it out. Execute. See that? Get animals. 3. Yep. And look, it shows me the return. Yeah. But check this out. If I go here, animals get. Is that correct? Oh, but it's not. Just to show you, the URL is different. You know what I mean?
It's Swagger.
Oh, well, the URL for this is localhost. This is ASP.NET started it up at that port.
Yeah, so you change it.
Yeah, so I'm going to change it, yeah? So if I go here and I change it, here, I always go to do that there. If I change it there, see that? Because it's a different support, yeah? And I go send. Look, I've hit the breakpoint. Yep. Look. Now, you want to see me do it so I can get a single animal? Yep, watch this. I'll copy that and I'll say get animal, yep, and then I'll say int ID, and then here I'll put the placeholder of saying that it's ID. Does that make sense? And I'll return animals dot first, right? First, where the animal. Come on, what am I missing here? Link, using system.link. Turn animals first for the animal. It's just getting a single animal this time. Does that make sense? Not a list, yeah? With the animal, animal.id is equal to the ID that was passed in, okay? So this first method, what it does is it takes an arrow function that it runs through each animal, and it checks, and the first one where the ID matches the ID that was passed in, it'll get it for us, okay? So let's check that out. Let me go var animal equals, just so you can see this in action first, yeah? And then I'll just go return animal. Does that make sense? I'll put it into a separate variable so we can whack a breakpoint in and see what we get, okay? Alright, so let's start it up again. Not quite sure why I'm not getting the colouring, the green colouring, but that's alright, doesn't matter. Okay, start it up. Okay, so I'll get all of the animals. I'll get rid of that breakpoint now, yeah? Hang on. Animals controller. Why have I got two versions of animals controller open and one's got...
Same mistake I did?
Huh?
I don't know.
Is one from the desktop?
I think so. I think that's from the desktop, hey?
Oh,
Isn't
you
that
got-
weird? It kept it open, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's right, I pasted it in now.
Oh,
Now we're
okay.
good, yeah? Okay. Animals first, the
Okay.
animal ID. Oh, the
System.
ID is good, it's not int. Does that make sense? Yep. Alright, now I'll put a breakpoint in. So let's run it. One was from the desktop. See, where would I be without Maitland? Okay? So see now I've got another one where I can pass in the ID. Yeah? So if I go here now, check this out. I'll get all animals. And I've hit the breakpoint to let me get rid of that. Yeah? See, I've got all of them. Now, watch this. I'll just get the ID of one of them. Yep. See, there's the GUID. See that? Now, look, I'll put this here and I'll get the ID of one of them. See that? Animals ID. I go send. See how it's hit this one and it's passed in the ID for me? And now we'll find that animal by ID. Yep. Oh, sequence contains no elements. Maybe I just passed in ID.
Do you need to say using link here for this one as well?
Say using link.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have to. Using.
Come on, Maitland, 3 for 3, go.
Something weird's going on. GUID, new GUID. So it's finding them.
Well, there'll be a new ID if you run this code in.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Every time I rerun it,
It runs a new ID.
it's adding the new animals. So you know what I need to do? I need to. This is where you have to get. Yeah, you're not wrong. This is where you need persistence. You know what I mean? And it gets. But you get the ID.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So again, this is me trying to. Let me just show you one more thing that you might really appreciate. Check
Was,
this out.
was the idea that you could do it in C#? Is that what the idea was?
Yeah, I just wanted to show you, right? So you'll see, like, forget about the persistence part, yeah? You'll see in React.js how you registered endpoints. Now you're seeing how you do it in C#.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, can you see it's very similar? I'm hoping that you can see the
Yes, the
similarities more than the differences.
Get
Yeah?
it.
See, and watch this. I'll go post animal and I'll say it requires an animal. See that? Eh? Yeah? Now, look, I'll just go return it. I won't actually save it or anything. But see, I've got HTTP post. Yeah? So instead of going app.post, the way it's done in C#, but it's essentially the same thing, isn't it? You're registering the method type, the path, yeah? Now in this case, the path, the reason I only have to go ID is because it's taking the name, like the route. Look, I can hard code here, but see how I can make it animals, yeah? By default, when it just says controller, it picks up the first name of this, right? So it's animals /ID. See that? So if we go here to the post, right, I'll just go return A, right? And let's start it up. And again, the type of web application I've done, see how it shows me I've got a get animals, a post animals, and a get, right? So let's go and do a post. So I'll change this to be post, right? And I get rid of the ID, okay? You see there's the animal I'm going to post in, see that? Let's give it a go, send. Look. See that?
Mm.
Pretty cool, huh?
Pretty cool.
So I'm hoping you can see here, get all, get one, post, puts the same, yeah? And can you see the similarity with that, between that and
What?
this? Get, post, put, delete. The result, right? The result is it doesn't matter whether I'm using C# in here or whether I'm using Express, right? It doesn't matter what technology I'm using in here. outside here doesn't know. They don't care. What do they know? HTTP and JSON. You know what I mean? The client knows HTTP and JSON. Whether the way we've implemented the REST API server is Express, or C# or Python, or or any language or any technology, they've all developed those technologies, so they've all got one thing in common. They know how to accept HTTP requests, and they know how to send a response. The implementation, right? So that's why when I see new technologies for new web services coming out, like I've learned them in minutes because I've already known them. Because it's the same. You know what I mean? It's the same but different. They're always just a slight evolution of the previous version. So the more you can start seeing things on that higher level, the easier it'll actually be for you to learn more with IT. And knowing when you're developing, that's when you've got to dig down further into the implementation details. So.
When you do it in C# though, is it still running on Node?
No.
On
No.
.NET, right?
It's .NET runtime.
And so
Yeah.
when it sends a request, is that still as a JSON object?
Yeah, because JSON doesn't belong to C# and it doesn't belong to JavaScript. It doesn't belong to. It's just a format for sending data.
Okay, because I thought JSON stood for JavaScript.node.
It's JavaScript object notation, and it's basically just a format, or it's just a notation, just a format for storing data.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it is. Yep.
So even if you use C# and .NET, you still end up interacting with the client with JavaScript.
That's right, because the client typically clients typically have JavaScript running on them now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, where's the async functions in C#? Or
Sorry?
is it just inbuilt? The async.
So async is actually something that's built into C# as
Okay,
well.
so you
That's
don't-
right. We'll get to that later.
I was
But
curious.
when you do async in C#, you always go await, right? Now the reason they've got that in there is because when it's async, it starts up a new process,
Yeah.
as you know, and that actually gets better server utilization because a server, the process has got cores. Like how many cores does it have? Each core can do its own processing.
Yep.
So if you've got a proper web server, it's like multi-core, it's distributed over. Start up a new thread, we'll start that up in another core, so the main thread's not blocked, and it'll get better utilization out of the server. It's more for that reason than wanting to start a background process. Like it's more just utilizing the server.
But in your C# code.
Yeah, I've
there-
put it.
Oh, okay. You didn't have to type it. It was inbuilt.
No, you do have to type it, but I wasn't doing anything that was an async operation.
Oh, you weren't doing that. Okay, you're just okay. Now it's
Yeah, so with C#, you actually use another library which does persistence.
Yep.
And that needs for that you use async because you're doing an IO operation.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. I'll be back in a minute. You all practice, but I hope you enjoyed that. Just to, again, to get you a high level. And even though it may seem overwhelming with some of the syntax, surely all of you can now see on a higher level the architecture of REST APIs, and the benefit and how systems talk to each other.
Is there a difference when you put it dot first? Is there a difference when you put dot first or default?
So when you do dot first, if it doesn't find any, it throws an exception. When you go dot first or default, if it doesn't find any and won't throw an exception, it'll just return null. But dot first will throw sequence contains that element application exception.
Okay.
What is that?